returns here this year for 2025, and it is FP2 here in Italy, round 7 of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Here it is, 4.909 kilometres around this circuit, 3.05 miles, 63 laps in the big race on Sunday, and 34.4 metres in elevation. It is quite a hefty circuit here. This year, it is the introduction to the C6 tyre, the soft compound tyre, introducing the C6 for Pirelli, medium and the hard compound tyres, of course. So far this year, all we have seen is the soft and the medium compound tyre being used, but hopefully that will change this session. We're going to see some long runs, and we're going to see some short runs in this session, being FP1 was an indication for a few long runs on the soft compound tyre. Here, this one's going to be good. This one's going to be quite interesting here, especially for this session. The weather conditions are not looking too bad at the moment. We're looking at about 37 degrees track temperature, in the air temperature 19 degrees, so quite high track temperature here as the sun continues to go down in this session. This one's going to be a bit, I'm going to say a bit less indicative. I'm going to guess there's going to be a few more long runs in this session. That is just my prediction as to where this session is going to go, but I feel like there are going to be a few long runs here as we look over up above at the paddock, and all the fans here at the grandstands watching on for possibly maybe even a few fans of Leclerc, and of course Hamilton. He was in a press conference a little bit earlier saying about how he feels about being a part of an Italian team, having a lot of pressure on himself in this race. Didn't seem like he was that pressured in that one, but of course now having something to fight for and try and give Ferrari a home win for Lewis Hamilton. Another 60-minute practice session, the final one for Friday practice, and then Saturday practice plus qualifying, and then the race on Sunday. On screen at the moment there with Pierre Gasly in the Alpine, watching on, getting ready for this session to get underway. The red light will go green at the end of the pit lane in around about 40 seconds time. There's Kimi Antonelli waiting abruptly here to head out onto the circuit, and a few tense faces out there. Of course, we saw Gabriele Bortoleto, a bit of a shunt with the wall at the end of FP1. Hopefully we don't get another red flag in this session, because there are going to be a few important runs to do in this one. As Ollie Bearman, the first one to head to the end of the pit lane, or maybe even come out of the pit lane here, but 60 minutes to see what exactly happens as the green light is on at the end of the pit lane. And who decides to go out is the most important question. There you go. The medium compound rubber being thrown onto the Ferrari of Leclerc. He rolls out of the pit lane. That is Leclerc. So Leclerc getting on the medium compound tyre. That's what most drivers will be using, saving their softer rubber for qualifying a bit later on. Tomorrow actually, for qualifying. This session most likely going to be for long runs for everybody out there, but no rush here for what seems to be most of the drivers. That is the kit car waiting there at the end of the pit lane. There was absolutely no rush. You have got 60 minutes to try and get a banker lap time in. Absolutely no rush whatsoever. It doesn't seem as if that's the way. And there you go. So cars now out onto the circuits. Some cars even entering turn 17. So making their way now onto the back straight for the two Haas cars. This is the Alpine of Franco Colapinto. A lot of pressure on him for the next 6 rounds to try and score points for Alpine. A lot of pressure indeed. That is Max Verstappen rolling out of the pit lane at the end of FP1. He wasn't happy with the car whatsoever. So maybe trying to improve that car in this session. Reading there at the end of the pit lane. That is what I'd like to call a casual Sunday stroll for Max Verstappen as he rolls to the end of the pit lane and will start making his way out onto the circuit. On screen there with Paul Arrow, the test and reserve driver for Alpine. Mainly watching on with Franco Colapinto and Pierre Gasly as well. For most of these drivers, it will be quite an important session as the Scuderia Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton crosses the line to start his lap. Scuderia Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton starts his lap and makes his way up into turn 7 after the 2 chicanes. And this session mostly important for most drivers out there at the moment as times are already flowing in. Now, last session we saw a 15 as the fastest time. Now, Formula 3 and Formula 2 were out there since FP1, so track evolution has now become a thing. It's going to be quite important. Now, you're going to see the medium tyres being used for race runs and hard tyres may possibly being used for race runs as well. Hamilton making his way into the final 2 corners and now entering the final corner to finish his lap. He's currently down in P9. He's just moved up into P5, 1 minute 17.099. But of course, these laps aren't indicative, as we saw Oscar Piastri do 1 minute 50. Sorry, yes, Lando Norris. He done a 1 minute 15.4, so nearly 1.5 seconds off the pace. But the track is improving as we speak, as Lewis Hamilton has a bit of a sideways moment coming out of the final chicane. Right up on that curb, and you can see the car as it's come off the curb. It's bottomed out over the curb, and the car has just gone nowhere and it slid sideways as it's bottomed out. So not exactly what you'd want there. Isaac Hadjar has just gone to the top, 1:16.7, still 1.3 seconds off the pace of Lando Norris from FP1. This session's a bit more indicative. The track is a bit cooler, about 2 degrees cooler than what it was in FP1. And Formula 3 and Formula 2 have been out there for a really quick qualifying session. You can see how dirty the circuit is from that session. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri finishing their lap, 16.5 from Piastri. We saw 15 in FP1, so it shows how quick the track is. Norris, 16.074, only 0.6 off the pace of what we saw in FP1. Max Verstappen improving on his time. Purple in the first sector, personal best in the second sector. He goes second for Max Verstappen. Struggled with a bit of pace in FP1. Hopefully not struggling with pace no more. As you can see, even Red Bull fans are here at the Italiano Grand Prix. 54.5 minutes to go. That is quite cool to see that there's not just Italian fans, there's Red Bull fans and not just Ferrari fans either. Lando Norris at the top of the timesheets at the moment, 1:16.074. Fastest time so far is Lando Norris. Just behind that, Verstappen 16.4, Piastri 16.5, Hadjar 16.7, Albon 16.8, Stroll 16.9, Lawson 16.9, Antonelli 16.9, Gasly 16.9, and then from 10th down to 19th is separated by less than separated by less than 2 seconds. So that's quite crazy, to be honest, to think about that. But the top 10 is separated by a second. That will decrease. We saw in FP1, the top 10 was separated by less than a second. This session, well, I'm expecting it to be probably the same, if anything. But the only person out there on the soft compound tyres is Fernando Alonso. He's down in P16 at the moment, so not showing a true indicative time on those soft compound tyres. Taking a while for that tyre to switch on. You've got to be careful here that you don't burn out your rubber too early here, because when you get to the power too early here, you spin the rear wheels and the tyres burn up and they wear out a lot quicker. Here, meanwhile, George Russell, he is improving. He's on par with Lando Norris to the second sector. He's not as quick to the first sector, but he's matching Lando at this point in time. We'll see what Russell can do on this lap. Hasn't set a time. He has now 1 minute 16.2, fastest time so far for George Russell. We saw Russell do pretty good time. It held up for a while, his time last session. Fernando Alonso has just been impeded by one of the Alpines. What looks to be Franco Colapinto. It is Franco Colapinto impeding down there at turn 2. Fernando saying I nearly crashed into him. Not the first time we've heard that this weekend. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz, he's improving on his time. So is Oscar Piastri. He's improving. He's just actually gone to second on that lap. He's just done a 1:16. He's just done a 1:16.1. Meanwhile, the two Williams are flying. Carlos Sainz, he's provisionally on to go to the top at this point in the session. 15.4 was the fastest time last session. What's this lap going to be? 15.9 from Carlos Sainz. 1:15.992. Alex Albon, though, he's looking extraordinarily quick. Now, I saw in FP1, just by gathering data in my head, there was a lot of pace in Sector 1 from the two Alpines, from the two Williams, sorry. They've just got to show it here. They seem to turn on their tyres quite nicely, and they're using it to their advantage. 1:15.992 from Carlos Sainz to go to the top. Still half a second off the pace of what we saw in FP1. But this lap will be good from Alexander Albon. Not good enough. But he goes second, and he does a 1:16.059. Yeah, so far, the only person in the 15s is Carlos Sainz. Engineers, they're looking at all the data from those two laps. It's Williams 1-2 at the moment. James Vowles watching on from the pit wall. Lewis Hamilton through the chicane at the moment, the third chicane on the circuit. Oh, getting sideways as he... Oh, and that's the problem. So he's actually stepped one or two wheels out in the gravel, out in the dirt. This is the Racing Bulls car of... I think it's Isaac Hadjar. No, yes, it is Isaac Hadjar here. Racing Bulls car of Isaac Hadjar. making his debut this year. He was really quick. He has been really quick. He crashed out in Australia, but apart from that, he's been quick. Isaac Hadjar, meanwhile, that first sector is, I'm not kidding, 0.0000, matching Lando Norris in that first sector. Matching Lando Norris in that first sector. I'm not joking. He legitimately is. Now, he's lost about 3/10 in that final sector, but this lap isn't too bad here from Isaac Hadjar. And he's matching Lando Norris in that first sector. So that car's hooked up through sector 1. Not so hooked up through sector 2. A few one-shot little qualies going on. Top 16 separated by less than a second. That's what I'm talking about. Here, Isaac Hadjar. He's on to go about P5 at the moment. Does he go P5? He lost 3/10 in that final sector. He goes P10. That's crazy to think about there, because Isaac Hadjar, P10, 0.6 off the pace. The top 10 is separated by less than a second. Just over, top 10 is separated by just over half a second. And in Formula 2, we saw it was separated by margins by 8 thousandths. That's how quick it is. Here, 15.9. Meanwhile, for Lando Norris, he went back to the top while I wasn't looking. And in that process, he's gone to the top, 1:15.952. Carlos Sainz on screen at the moment. This car was good in pre-season testing. He was practically good in every practice session we've had so far. Hasn't been able to turn the car on in the race trim. Hopefully he can do so this weekend, because he could score some pretty good points for Williams. If he shows the pace he has in practice, he could possibly get himself a podium. A few impedations there from a few of the rookies. It's been mostly rookies that have been impeding everybody. And not one impediment, but 2 for Lewis Hamilton. And he will not be happy about that one. So that was Bortoleto holding up Lewis Hamilton. Sector 2, meanwhile for Piastri. Fastest so far, but he stays P4. He's not been able to improve that time. Lewis Hamilton, though, he's on a lap. See there, Franco Colapinto getting out of the way of Lewis Hamilton. As Hamilton now, final corner. What's this lap going to be for him? Across the line. Not an improvement for Hamilton on that lap with 45 minutes to go. So many Ferrari fans here this weekend. It is absolutely astonishing. So many of them. Frederick Vasseur watching on as well in the Ferrari pit wall, but he'll be happy with that one. Both Ferraris, one of them just outside the top 10, one of them inside the top 5. So not too bad overall. Franco Colapinto bottoming out as he rises through the top part of the circuit. The car struggling with a bit of bottoming out. That will have cost him a bit of time. It actually cost him a 10th through that second sector. So bottoming out doesn't casually cost you too much time around here. But the 2 Alpines, they're improving. Gasly's improving. He's about 4 thousandths off of Lando Norris. He's 2 thousandths off Carlos Sainz. He's 2 thousandths faster than Albon. Franco Colapinto up into P10, so he's inside the top 10. Both Alpines inside the top 10. Both Williams inside the top 10. Both Red Bulls inside the top 10. So that's good to know. And 2 McLarens inside the top 10. If they weren't inside the top 10, I think I'd have a few worries under my sleeve. Pierre Gasly does not improve. Actually, he does improve on that time. He moves up 3 spots. Up into P5. Meanwhile, for Max Verstappen, he's 0.3 off the pace of Lando Norris. He's done a 16.2 to be P7 in this session so far. But most people now coming back into the pit lane. Not much action out there on the circuit. Yeah, the one person that hasn't actually set an indicative time, who's on the soft compound tyres, is Fernando Alonso. He hasn't actually set a time. Everybody outside the top 10 is in the pit lane. That is Hadjar, Hamilton, Antonelli, Behrman, Stroll, Lawson, Hulkenberg, Bortoletto, Alonso, and Ocon, all in the pit lane. Two Haas cars struggling for a bit of pace, being a Ferrari Academy car, and I think they'd be performing well. It doesn't seem to be the case for the two Haas cars. It's Lando Norris getting on his balaclava, trying to get comfortable in that car. Always an important topic. Trying to get comfortable in your car. Always an important topic. See there, the Williams team working ferociously to get on a brand new set of mediums. McLaren, in the past, McLaren wins in the last 30 years have gone to Lewis Hamilton. Quite surprisingly there. But it's Lando Norris at the top of the session so far. Can he stay that way? Here we go. Back with the FP2 coverage here as there's Valtteri Bottas, the third driver for the Mercedes crew. So practically that one backup driver that you need there. Max Verstappen, he's on an out lap at the moment here, and as we was away at the break, George Russell went to the top. He done 1:15.693 to go fastest overall, and that was followed by Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, and the two Williams actually still inside the top 10, surprisingly. Franco Colapinto, he's actually... Sorry, no, that's Gabriel Bortoleto, who's got the record around here in an F2 car for the fastest lap. And then Franco Colapinto, the only person to win an F2 and F3 championship here at Imola. or 30 minutes to go in this session. Action aplenty. Most cars coming back out onto the track. Meanwhile, for the last 5 races for Max Verstappen, it has been 4th, a 1st, a 6th, a 2nd, and a 4th. So, consistently inside the points, and that's what's keeping him inside the championship fight. I know I'm talking about championship a bit early here, but you can always... The championship can always change here in Formula 1, which is what makes it so exciting. One person can be on a winning streak, and the other person can be close in behind, also on a podium streak. So it can make a difference a bit later on in the championship when you score points after points after points. It can make a huge difference. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen, he's currently on a lap at the moment, and he's improving to the first sector, 2 thousandths up on George Russell. He's matching George Russell in that first sector. Meanwhile, Kimi Antonelli, he's on a lap as well in the Mercedes. And also Max Verstappen. He's just gone purple to the second sector there, so he's improving for Max Verstappen. There, those 2 sectors are looking quite dangerous to George Russell's time. We saw 16.4 in FP1. It's about to be knocked off by the 3-time world champion of Max Verstappen. Can he do it? No, 4,000. So he lost nearly 2 tenths in that final sector. Max Verstappen stays second. Kimi Antonelli, meanwhile, he doesn't improve. Quite surprisingly. So he might have had a mistake because he was up on that lap he was doing, and he was up by nearly 4 thousandths. Meanwhile, Behrman moves up into P5. The young American of Ollie Behrman has just moved up into P5. Good job there in the Haas car. Ferrari Academy car of Behrman. Tsunoda, he's improving. So people coming out on the soft rubber and pulling a few laps together. Tsunoda, what's this lap going to be? It's not good enough to beat Russell. Isaac Hadjar, he's improving personal best to the first and second sector. It's a qualifying simulation going on here. Isaac Hadjar, P3. Good job there from Isaac Hadjar. Beautiful lap, P3. Less than a tenth separates the top 3. It's less than half a second separating the top 10. People are coming out on the soft rubber and doing amazing laps here. Lando Norris, he's improving as well. Personal best of the first sector. Lewis Hamilton, he's also improving. Lando Norris, 3 tenths up on George Russell in that second sector. He's looking quick. Leclerc, meanwhile, knocks off his buddy Isaac Hadjar. He moves up to P3. It's less than a tenth separating the top 4 now. I was talking about Behrman being P4. He's now in P8. So that's how fast he can drop. The 2 Williams. Lando Norris, 1:15.3 to go to the top now. Meanwhile, Oscar Piastri, he's also improving. Purple to the first sector. Lando Norris, 25.2 to the third sector, puts him to the top, eclipses his own time that he did in that P1 of a 15.4. Very nice, 1:15.3. Pierre Gasly up into P2. He's improved. That's a good lap there from the Alpine. Piastri, he's on a stonking lap time here. He's nearly half a second quicker than his own teammate here on this lap. He might get a bit of a slipstream from the car in front. This is going to be a good lap. Got a little bit of a slipstream as he comes down the straight. It's a 15.2 by nearly 2 thousandths over his own teammate. He lost about 2 tenths in that final sector. Not exactly sure what happened. But he did lose just about 2 tenths there. So not what he needed on that lap. That lap was going to put him a lot further forward. 15.2. 15.4. Hamilton saying these damn brakes, mate. Brakes are a problem for Lewis Hamilton. He's down in P16, 1.3 seconds off the pace. Off of Piastri. Struggling for pace, indeed. Kimi Antonelli down in P17. He hasn't done a lap. He's currently on the soft compound tyres. And he's not at full speed either. This is why he's still down in P17 here for Kimi Antonelli. Oh, okay. So that's why. He's practically cut the chicane. And he will not be happy with that there. The Italian came up through Formula 3 and Formula 2, the feeder category. Max Verstappen was improving. I bottom out hard at turn 11 and turn 12. So, Verstappen still not happy with the car. Maybe need to change the ride height of that car. Still not happy. So, that's why Verstappen P5 at the moment. By the way, 0.8 separating the top 10, and that is Ollie Behrman, who's in P10 at the moment. So, showing how tight the margins are. At the moment, here is Lance Stroll, as he comes through the bottom part of the circuit now. Lance Stroll improving. Personal best first sector. What's this second sector going to be like? It's just about 0.79 off of the pace of Oscar Piastri. So still not improving there for Lance Stroll. Personal best first, second sector. We'll see what this lap is going to be. As he crosses the line, P14, so nearly a second off the pace on those soft tyres. For Fernando Alonso, he's down in P20 at the moment. 2 seconds off the pace. It's 1.5 seconds separating the top 19 cars. So that is quite sane to think about. Halfway through the session now, 30 minutes to go here in FP2. Charles Leclerc, he is at the moment improving. Well, he's about to start a lap, actually. There you go. So he has started a lap here for Leclerc. And Leclerc, they're saying the car is not braking for Leclerc. So this is a bit of a problem here for Ferrari. Both cars struggling with brake issues. Both Hamilton and Leclerc. As, speaking of the devil, Lewis Hamilton, P9 on that lap. 0.6 off the pace. Less than a tenth separating the two McLaren cars. It's a massive 0.1 back to Gasly. So that's a big margin there for the two McLarens, for the two Papayas. Really quick, Oh, a bit of a sideways moment for Norris. But he's still up there in Sector 2. He's just rolled out of that lap. So, yeah. So he had a big oversteer moment out of this second final corner. Alex Albon, he's just finished a lap. He's just moved up into P9. So not a bad lap. So he moved up from P14 up into P9. So not a bad lap there from Alex Albon. 15.91 plays a 15.92 for Oscar Piastri. Nearly 7/10 off the pace of Oscar Piastri. This is one of the... so that's a big moment. That is Leclerc, that car bottoming out. So you'll know when the car is bottoming out because of the sparks that will produce from the floor. Oh, big oversteer moment from Lando Norris, as I was still talking about. So that's why he actually rolled out of that lap that he was doing. He was actually on to go to the top of the timings in that papaya. Carlos Sainz, he's improving at the moment. Personal best first sector. Personal best third sector. And that is a 15.9 there for Carlos Sainz. Leclerc, he's also improving as well. Personal best 2 sectors. And Leclerc stays P6. He's on a 15.768. This is the RB of Liam Lawson. At the moment he is just started a lap. So not much action out there on the circuit. The top 5 are in the pit lane. Followed by Isaac Hadjar, Tsunoda, Albon, Hamilton Behrman, Colapinto, Antonelli Hulkenberg, and Fernando Alonso. He's been in the session. He's been in the pit lane for about half an hour now. Liam Lawson, he's currently at the moment on a bit of a longer run than what everybody else is on. 25 minutes to go in this one. It's crazy. The top 15 are separated by a second. The top 10 are separated by just over half a second. So that's how big the margins are. That is quite sane. Lando Norris still leads the session by just under a tenth. FP2 continuing here as Oscar Piastri is just bumped to the top 15.2 on the lap that he did. 20 or so minutes to go in this one. And it's between the two McLarens, it's still about 0.2 separating the top three cars. So, not bad at all, but everybody starting to build up for another few push laps here and seeing what everybody can do. Max Verstappen starts his lap on a set of medium tyres now. This looks to be a brand new set for Max Verstappen, or if not, a rotated set of medium tyres. He threw them at the start of the session, put them up to pressure, came back in, thrown on the softs, and went back out. So a few qualifying sims going on here for Max Verstappen, trying to get that car into a bit of a quality trim. This lap not exactly indicative, about 2 seconds off the pace. Meanwhile, while we were at the break, Fernando Alonso, he came out of the pits, went onto the medium tyres and came back in. So, haven't seen him for most of the session so far, but Max Verstappen, he's not improving on this lap. Start of the session, we saw a lot of people doing qualifying simulations, which we'll also see more of in FP3 as Max Verstappen concludes that lap 20.595, and he will quite possibly continue on with that there as a few new shiny sets of medium tyres waiting there in the pit lane. Kimi Antonelli, as we watch on here, see that car bottoming out just a little bit. You don't want it bottoming out too much, because if you have too much bottom, if the car's bottoming out too much, then it becomes a bit of a problem a bit later on in qualifying, because you tend to lose a lot of time. Kimi Antonelli at the moment, he's on a race simulation, getting that car up to speed with just under 20 minutes to go in this session. We haven't seen the best from Fernando Alonso, nor from Kimi Antonelli, who's 1.1 seconds off the pace, but remember, still 15 minutes to go in this one. Still time to throw on some new tyres, if anything, as Kimi Antonelli now comes into turn 17, and this is the two penultimate corners on the circuit. Turn 19, and makes his way now back into turn 1. To start another lap. This is one of the Kick Sauber cars of what looks to be Gabriele Bortoleto, and it is Gabriele Bortoleto. I'm going to ride on board here with Bortoleto as he makes his way into turn 2 now. This is turn 2 and turn 3. Really important to get as close to the apex as possible. Then pick your braking marker and swing the car in, practically full throttle through there, or if anything, rolling. Make your way up to the top part of the circuit, through the elevation. Now, through the top part of the circuit, then the downhill run starts. It's practically 2 corners, the top part of the circuit is, and then you rise back up. It's practically 2 lots of 4 meters of elevation around this circuit. This is through turn 15 and 16, turn 14 and 15. This is turn 16 here. As you glide down, turn 17 now, riding aboard with Gabriele Bortoleto. Turn 18, use a bit of that outside ripple strip, and then make your way, turn 19 and cross the line. And that is practically a lap of the Emilia-Romagna circuit with just under 16 minutes to go here in the second free practice session for Kick Sauber. This is the 600 Grand Prix start this weekend under all previous team names for Kick State Sauber. 600th race under all previous names. So that's quite a big milestone for all the Kick Sauber team and all the teams before that as well. This is Lando Norris and the Papaya McLaren. He's out on the medium tyres at the moment. In terms of the medium speed corners, Piastri is the fastest through the medium speed corners. 0.2 back to Norris. 0.17 back to Hadjar. 0.1 back to Russell. So it's really tight in the medium speed corners between practically every car out there. It's turn 9 now. Norris approaching turn 9. Making his run turn 10. Up through the top part of the circuit, turn 11, turn 12. Saw some big moments through here. There'll be a few good passing opportunities through there in the race. Turn 14, using all the curb through the chicane. Turn 15, use a bit of the ripple strip on the outside. Make your way. Turn 16, just here. As close as you can to that red, white, and green ripple strip. Turn 17, turn 18. Use more of the ripple strip on the outside. And then make your run. Turn 19. And then over the line. To finish a lap of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix circuit. That is William Joseph, the race engineer for Lando Norris. In the Papaya McLaren outfit. Kimi Antonelli here. Replay as he makes his run down. Oh, that was close. Into T17. Antonelli, they're complaining over the radio. That was super dangerous from the Red Bull car. Was that looked to be Yuki Tsunoda? Might have been Yuki Tsunoda there. And it was Yuki Tsunoda. So there you go. Yuki Tsunoda at the moment down in P8. Half a second off the pace. He's down 15.7. And he's done that on the softer rubber. You'll notice because they're a higher compound of tyre this weekend that the track will marble up a lot quicker. Rubber will degrade a lot quicker. Especially the harder tyre will degrade a lot quicker. Of course, you only have 2 sets of hards this weekend, and might use one in the race and one in practice, if anything. We haven't seen anybody use the hard tyres yet, which that might be a bit of a play in the race on Monday afternoon when I stream it. Franco Colapinto holding up Lando Norris just in front of him. So that's we talk about the McLarens of Oscar Piastri. Now, Oscar Piastri, fun fact, has completed every Grand Prix racing lap since Sao Paulo 2023, which is it's an interesting stat because at any point in time that stat can break. Now, commentators curse here. That stat could break at any point here but I don't see it breaking at all, to be honest, with the pace that the two Papaya McLarens have. I don't see that stat breaking at all. Which is interesting. This is the Red Bull of, I think it might be Max Verstappen, and this is something keeps touching my foot under the braking into turn 2. So sometimes that could be that's strange, because there's, he said he'll keep driving, but something keeps touching the brake pedal into turn 2, which is never good. Never a good feeling for that to happen. Now, this is Franco Colapinto on screen now. Everybody's out on circuit, so everybody getting some mileage done as the Ferrari fans continue to come in here this weekend. The Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, of course, won't be the only time I'm live. I'm going to be streaming the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, which is practically the feeder category for Formula 3 here this year, which is interesting, to say the least, with just under 9 minutes, about 9.5 minutes to go in this session. Franco Colapinto, he isn't improving in the Alpine here with just under 9.5 minutes to go here in this one. Big trap here as he comes through turn 15 and turn 16. This is probably a bit of a... This is very much... The circuit doesn't really give anything off in terms of its wear to any components of any part of this car, except probably if we were to keep count, floor damage. Very high around this circuit, so that's just one thing, because the cars bottom out quite quickly, and it's over the bumps that they bottom out. See there, Colapinto just missing that first apex by about a few millimeters, or about a few meters, if anything. Watching in behind here, George Russell, he's just backed off of that lap behind the Alpine. Here's Max Verstappen. Now, a lot of these rookies of Franco Colapinto seem to be getting in some of the fast drivers' way. Just Verstappen there saying over the radio, what is this guy doing using his DRS? So, accident for one of the Cash App RB cars, and that is Isaac Hadjar, who's in the fence. He's luckily been able to get that car moving, but it won't be good if that car is stuck, and luckily for him, it is not. Now, he has to keep the revs up here, because it's quite easy to get stuck. Does he get stuck? No. Good job. Really good job there from the RB. I think that is Isaac Hadjar off the road. Oh, it's Liam Lawson off the road. There you go. So Lawson off the road down there. That is through... Oh, that's at the top part of the circuit. So that's quite strange. Now, Gotta be careful not to red flag the session because he's able to move. He's just waiting for the chance to get going. Now, can he move? That's the real question for Isaac Hadjar. I don't think he can move. No, he can't. He can't. Oh, what a shame. So he can't get that car going. It's actually stuck. So he can't move that car at all. And red flag for the second consecutive time in a row. He's just beached himself, and he probably should have got off the gravel. Now, of course, that's... If he did get off the gravel, he'd be on the road there, on the tarmac, and that would be dangerous. And they'd probably immediately red flag the session. So, red flag. And that is Isaac Hadjar's session over. So this is what happened here. Oh, lost the rear end of the curve. Oh. Has he nudged the fence? Oh, he's actually hit that. Oh, okay. So, won't be surprised if there's any suspension. Oh, that car did not light the curbs nicely. Now, I won't be surprised if there's any suspension. Oh, maybe tiny little bit of suspension damage on that car, if anything. Didn't ride that curb nicely, so that car wasn't set up the way he probably would have liked it to. Didn't ride that curb nicely off turn 6, and as a consequence, he's in the gravel, and consequently in the wall. And he's actually hit that Armco barrier quite hard, to the point where it's ripped the signage off. So, red flag here at FP2. Not what these drivers will be needing. Not what the engineers will be needing either. Isaac Hadjar there getting himself to safety. With 4.5 minutes to go, we might get this session underway. 4.5 minutes by the time you actually... Oh, you might. I mean, no, I don't reckon you will. To be honest, but what a sad sight there for Isaac Hadjar to finish this practice session in the gravel. That's Jover and out for Hadjar. He's parked the car up, out of the car safely.